Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool radio repair video for you today. Now, usually we do arcade game repair, pinball repair, and jukebox repair. So if you're only interested in that, we'll be back on Tuesday with one of those. But on Sundays lately, I've been doing just a little bit of radios or record players, stuff like that, or clocks that I'm interested in. So I picked up this little radio and I thought I'd do a little video on it. I got to tell you the story of how I got it. I haven't tried anything with it yet. We're going to... Did you see that? I think this place might be... George might have followed me home. Okay, so I got to tell you the story of how I got this. My brother Donnie and I, if you haven't seen his channel, he has a channel here on YouTube, the My Brother Donnie channel. And we were down in Chesterfield, South Carolina. And we're down there doing something, and we were about to drive back to Jefferson. And so as we were driving, this is last Sunday, we drove by this house that had all kinds of crap out in the yard. I mean, thousands of things. And it was all yard art and just old, gliders and patio sets and the hoods of cars and stuff. And it was all arranged out in the yard. So a lot of it was lined up, and there was a big sign that said sale. And as we drove by, there was a guy sitting on the front porch and he waved at us, right? And this is Sunday about 2 o'clock. So we figured, well, heck, we'll stop. You know, usually places aren't open on Sunday, but he was. So we stopped and we got out, and this guy, he's cussing up a storm and everything in a friendly way. And we said, we noticed you had a bunch of stuff here. And he's like, yeah, I got too much. Bleep, 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 bleep. I got another tractor trailer truck full. Bleep, bleep, bleep. And I got the impression that he was pulling it out of a house or something that like a hoarder had, you know. We eventually figured out, no, he's the hoarder. Like, he's the guy. Now, I have driven by this place a bunch of times, and I never saw a bunch of stuff out there. So I think he either just bought this place or just rented it and started putting crap out in the yard. But, I mean, tons of stuff. And it's a fairly large yard, and every square foot of it was covered with stuff. Tables set up in the yard with crap piled on top of it. And it wasn't really all that messy. It was all kind of organized, right? And so Donnie's looking at these... this patio set that the guy had out in the yard, one of about 15 of them. And so he says, yeah, I got some stuff in the house too. Okay, so I walk up on the front porch, and this is sitting there, right? And it's not in great shape. Or is it? I don't know yet. I haven't really messed with it. But this looks to me like it's been sitting outside for a long time. So it wasn't actually in the yard. It was sitting on the front porch. Lots of cobwebs and stuff. And I just picked it up. Now, I looked this thing up after I got back home. But at the time, it didn't seem like anything special to me. Okay? I'll tell you the thing that I don't like about it. It's kind of heavy. Which means that it still has the batteries in it. You know, and this thing, so I would guess this is probably from the 60s. And, you know, it looks to me like it's been sitting for a long time. So I don't know that we're going to be able to get it to work, but we're going to mess with it a little bit. So I pick it up, and the guy says, I'll take $10 for that radio. And so I pick it up, and I look at it. Now... let's say you don't know anything about this radio, and you see this. But, you know, I do these videos, and I like old stuff. To me, this is worth $10, right? So I tell the guy, okay, yeah, I'll probably get that. Let me look around and some more stuff. And the guy goes, I bet you will for $10. And I'm thinking to myself, buddy, are you trying to ruin this sale? Do you want me to put the thing back? Because, I mean... it ain't a great deal. I mean, a lot of damn people would not pay $10 for this. I think the guy probably did pretty good getting me to pay $10 for it, right? And but he shut up. That's all he said. If he would have said something else, I would have just left it, right? I would have, I would have, you know, I don't like when people smart off to you, you know, like I would have smarted off back. That's just kind of how I am. You can tell by the comments section if you haven't figured that out yet. Go read our Google review. Well, don't read our Google reviews. Don't do that. Forget I said that. So he said, I bet you will for $10. And I'm thinking to myself, you're the one who told me that price, but whatever. It's barely worth $10. Now, since then, I came home, I looked it up. Apparently, these are pretty decent little radios, so it might be worth a little bit more than that. However, if you look at it, not only is it filthy, it's missing the bezel. And so when I eventually went up and carried it up to him to pay him, I said, you know, it's missing the bezel, right? I pointed that out to him. And he ignored that, and I handed him his $10. But maybe he caught what I was trying to stab him with. I don't know. But, you know, I think I did the guy a favor buying it for $10. That's my opinion. So leave your comments below. Tell me, do you think this thing's worth $10 or not? I'll bet a bunch of people would not buy this for $10. And everybody that had seen it before me didn't buy it for $10. So we're walking around, and the guy's kind of... I'm not a big fan. Right? There's another radio that I find, and it's a clock radio, you know, and it's kind of square, and it was teal, and it had a big clock, but it also had a little dial over here for the radio, and it's pretty old too, probably also from the 60s. And I told him, hey, I found another radio over here. And the guy said, oh, no, I got to keep that when I'm sending it to Maine. Like, oh, okay. So I put it right back where it was, right? I'm carrying this one around. So then... we walk around and there was a fan, kind of like that, but bigger, sitting in the yard, you know, like a metal fan sitting in the yard. It was probably still all right, but that was a week ago. It might not be all right now. I don't know. You know, how long is that thing going to sit out in the yard and be all right? Who knows? So it's sitting out in the yard, and it's dirt, you know, it's sitting in the dirt out in the yard. And it still looked all right. And I said, what do you want on this fan? And the guy said, oh, I'm sending that to a guy in Maine. Okay. So then Donnie, you know, he's all into these 65 Chevy pickups. Well, the guy had a couple hoods for a 65 Chevy pickup in the backyard that he had nailed together or something that he was trying to make art out of. And Donnie said, how much on the hoods? And the guy, you know, didn't want to sell them and all this. And it kind of, everything got real hard to deal with the guy all of a sudden, you know. And we hadn't said nothing to him. Whenever he made the little remark about the radio, I didn't say anything to him about it. And then there was an old car back there, and we didn't really want the car, but he said, yeah, I got to ship that old car up to Maine. And I'm thinking, man, somebody in Maine is going to buy all of this stuff, apparently. But we walk around a little bit, and it becomes pretty obvious that the guy's kind of hard to deal with. And I said, okay, well, let me pay you for your radio. And I pull out a $10 bill, and right as we were doing that, some woman came up and was asking about he had some of these big cast iron cauldron looking things sitting out in the yard beside each other. And she was asking how much those were. And so I handed the guy the $10 and I said, hey, you know, the bezel's missing, right? And so we got in the truck and moved off and drove off. So, yeah, so that's how I got it. I don't think the thing is in great shape. And that bezel, I don't know that I'll ever find. This is a Channel Master 6510. I looked it up a little bit, and Radio TV Phono Nut has one of these. And he was basically saying it's a pretty good little radio for what it is. But here's our problem. And it's not chipped. That looks like a chip. It's not. It's the same over there. It's actually in pretty decent shape. It's just filthy, right? But I don't know what the inside looks like yet. So let's read this. And then we're going to open it up. Model 6510, 6 transistors, super het. Frequency range, I think they call that broadcast, don't they? IF is 455. It takes 6 volts worth of batteries. And it's Japanese, so I like that. You know, I like Japanese stuff. So the main problem, beside the bezel being missing, that doesn't really matter because you can still tune it. You just can't tell what channel you're on visually. Is this thing's heavy, so it's got batteries in it. So if it's corroded this whole freaking thing up, I don't know that we're going to be able to fix it. But let me get the battery. Let me get these 2 screws out, and we'll see what's going on. I see batteries. Don't look that bad. If I can get them out of there. How did that happen? You see this, right? That was right there. What in the world? God, this is weird. Panasonic general purpose D battery. Good housekeeping promise. Distributed by Panasonic, made in Indonesia. You know, they didn't date them back then, did they? Unless it has some kind of date code on it or something. It'd be cool to see how old these are. These look really old to me. I mean, this is at least early 90s. This is 91 or earlier, right? And maybe I can find some pictures of Panasonic batteries that have a date on them. Whew, boy, it looks rough. So I haven't seen one with this little tube in it before. That's kind of neat. Look at that one. I have to do all this one-handed. Some people say there's a thing called a trepid, something like that. They keep saying, get a trepid. I don't know what you're talking about. God, that's scary as crap. These are old, man. These got to be early 90s at least. What do you think? 80s or early 90s? Let me go see if I can figure out. What do you think? I wonder if there's a website. Well, I looked, and I saw some that were new that looked just like that. So that could all have been nonsense. Those may have been brand new batteries. Place 4 D-size flashlight batteries into vinyl tube as illustrated. Insert tube into groove with battery terminals as indicated. Place cover onto groove and tighten screws. Japan. So I cleaned out the tube as best I could. There's still a little bit of staining, but most of it cleaned up. I took a brush and got down in there, but I couldn't get it all off. But so let's load this sucker up. All right, that took 3 seconds. So you'll know as I do. I don't, you know, the thing might work. I don't know. It's dirty, but sometimes stuff like that's deceptive. Like, doesn't this look like it's been rained on and stuff, though? Let's see. I heard something. It's trying to amplify, at least. And it's transistors, so it should basically immediately be able to get reception, you would think. It doesn't have to warm up like tubes.
Of Cedar Ridge insulated siding. Replacing windows, beautiful front. If it's on the outside of your home,
well, there you go. Another successful repair.
Off any siding project.
See, people, you got to know what you're doing with this stuff. See, the problem with this one was it needed batteries.
And don't forget about our showroom on Monroe Road, where you can see, touch, and experience these products for yourself. That's affordable siding.
So that's going to be 1110, which is our strong channel here in town.
6225 or affordablesiding.com. Hi, it's Bo Thompson here for Window Nation. The temperatures are dropping rapidly, and if you have...
That's a local channel that's just really strong. And that's all we're getting. Now, let's see what we got here. We are on low.
.com. News Talk 1110 90.3. WBT, we're sharp for severe weather information.
One of the amendments to the act was driven by James Delaney, a U.S. congressman from New York, who chaired a
Okay. Well, 1960 and the cap still work.
The results of his findings
So
resulted in the
on a good radio here in my office, I can get 650. You know, it's going to be down around here somewhere. I can get 650 out of Nashville. But since we're not getting anything else, I don't know that that'll happen tonight.
Any chemical
I shouldn't have touched the volume. If I can get that. Oh, I'm real low.
very light, like a listen or something. To get things right.
If I can get that where the volume's good, we'll see if we can get 650. Well, here we are in time for the erectile dysfunction commercial. We had some volume, then we lost it. But
The various ones use red dyes, and due to their astringent qualities.
So that's 1110. Let's go down where 650 might be. Okay, that's the sports crap. That's usually on like 810 or something like that, I think. I can't turn it up anymore. There you go. So it's getting WSM out of Nashville. So we don't have much volume, so probably capacitors, and it wouldn't help wouldn't hurt to clean this volume control. Now one of our regular viewers mentioned on the last video that we did on one of these that it was up to them, if the capacitors were still working, they'd try to maintain it like that. I understand that thought process, and that's cool if people want to do that, but I can't really do that because, I mean, this is as good as it's going to work with those old caps in it. And I want it to work better than that, you know. I want you to be able to pick this thing up, put batteries in it, and it sound nice and loud and give you good reception all over the place. I don't want to have to mess with it every single time I get it out. That we were working on that one, and it had all the original caps, and the thing came up and worked, right? But I've replaced the caps now, so if we pull that out now, you don't have to mess with anything. You just plug it in, and it works, you know. So whenever the caps get that old, they're just not reliable at all. Okay, so let's open it up and look inside of it, and we're going to do a quick little cap job and see if we can get some better volume out of it whenever you tune to a distant station. All right, when I pulled the battery out, it is hot on the end, which is telling me that it's probably running like a lot of current through it. I hope it didn't kill my batteries already. This battery's like $8 now. This battery is like 90 degrees. I mean, it's hot. So yeah. This one's not, though. That's interesting. Why would that one be and this one not? This one's not. And this one's not. All right, so we got one hot battery. Why would that be? That's crazy. It was the one that was right here. Okay, we're going to pop it open and check out the caps. So there's one screw up in the top and two in the bottom, and then it just comes right out. Of course, it's got a bunch of stuff still wired up. We might take that loose, or I might just leave it alone, depending on how hard our little cap job is going to be. What does that say? Does that say Sanyo? That's Sanyo? I can't tell. I think so, right? Sanyo? So yeah, if I was going to do anything, which I am, I'm just going to replace some caps. These green things are caps. I mean, those don't strike me as super high quality. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe that's a cap. 9, 10. There's about 10 caps in the whole thing. Yeah, I think that's our best bet. And a shorted cap would, you know, draw a lot of current. So I think that's our plan of attack. What do you think? Okay, if you disagree, go ahead and say now. Or forever hold your peace. Now, I'll listen. I didn't hear anybody disagreeing. Everybody's saying, do the cap kit. Everybody's saying, I would have done the cap kit before I put the batteries in. The battery's still hot. What in the world? That's weird. I haven't had that before. I don't think I've ever had a hot battery. Remember, folks, this is amateur repair time. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so since I don't know what I'm doing, I think I'm going to start replacing caps. I do know how to replace caps. Yeah, Sanyo right on the speaker. So this must have been a Sanyo radio that they just badged as a channel master. Okay, so let me swap some caps and we'll try it again, and then we'll clean it a little bit. Okay, so there was actually only 5 of those electrolytic plastic caps, or I guess they're electrolytic. But look how unique they are. Now this is 1960 apparently, so this is early stuff. 100 UF, I replaced it, 100 microfarad, and I replaced it with another 100. That little black mark apparently is ground, I would guess. You know what happens when you assume, though. I am assuming that's ground. Okay, so then we had a 120 microfarad. This one screwed me up. I don't, you know the deal. I don't have a 120. I also don't keep 150s in, so I put a whopping 220 in there. I think you could have got away with 100, but, you know, I said, screw it, let's go 220. And then look how they've marked this one. There's a black line, but it seems like it's broken, and to show off that that middle is a negative mark. Okay. Then we had this beauty. It's a 30 microfarad Japanese 6 volt. So I put a 33 in, and you know, they're all like 6 volts and stuff. All the ones I've got, I usually do in arcade monitors, and they're usually 35 or 50, something like that. Unless they're a high voltage one. Another 30 microfarad, and put a 33 in that. And then this one was a 50 microfarad, so I put a 47 in that. Obviously. And then the ground on it was also the little dot. Or I hope that's the ground. What do you think? What's it going to burn up if that's not it? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had to take these wires loose because they were going to break. That's solid strand. Or I think it is. I didn't replace this one. I'm not sure what that is. I've actually got that. It's a 0.005 400 working volt, but I suppose that could be what's shorting, or what might have been burning up my battery. I don't know. I think maybe a cap did. I don't have a capacitance meter here. I've got some at the shop, but I checked all of them, and none of those 5 were shorted. So I don't know. So here's what I'm going to do. This battery, the hot one, was 1.4 volts. The other ones were 1.55. So this one was like 1.45. The other ones were 1.55. So I don't know. That could just be that the caps were doing that. I hope. Might be this one though. Let's watch this one. All right, so I put the board back in. Let me pop the batteries in. Oh, I sprayed some contact cleaner inside of the volume control too. So let me put the batteries back in, and we'll just kind of mock it up in there and see if we've got any more volume now. Got the batteries back in. Keep your fingers crossed. If I put one in backwards, it might explode. Was that one exploding? Seems like it's got more gain now. What in the world? I think we're picking up like the Lassie TV show or something. Sounds kind of cool.
It is just all one unified force, one unified consciousness, one darkness.
All right, let's take calls with the Winter Lake. Let's start with first-time caller Terry, truck driving in Florida. Welcome to the program. Hi, Terry.
Hello, George. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, I'm a first-time caller. And
That's coast to coast. That's usually on 1110, but that's syndicated everywhere. So I'm probably picking it up out of some other city. That sounded kind of honky-tonkish, didn't it? We're trying to get 650 WSM out of Nashville. There we go. They just said 640.
also more than 300 kilometers per wait for I-10 field. And it's reported that commuters are still
Obviously, that's 650.
Oh, gotta have something, but I got nothing. Come on. What's
It won't turn all the way down now.
They put it on the front page of their Metro section. The Metro section.
Anyway, Biden could have gone to that rally because there and spoke and was unwavering in his support for Israel. We had the House Minority Speaker in Hakeem Field.
It's time to rake the ball leaves and fix the ball leaves.
There you go.
You think it has anything to do with the 120 that I replaced with a 220? You wouldn't think. I mean, I would think it would be some kind of filter cap, but I don't have the schematics for it. But I think they exist. Maybe going 120 to 220 made it where the volume doesn't go all the way down, or maybe it was already like that, but we couldn't tell because the caps were so bad.
Save when you bundle motorcycle, RV, and boat insurance, visit progressive.com if you ever want to be.
I've heard of them doing this before so that you can tell that the thing's on to save the batteries. But I don't know. You know what I mean? So, like, if you could turn the volume all the way down, you might leave it with the volume all the way down, but the radio on, and kill your batteries. But so maybe they've got it where it'll only start at 5. You know, it won't go down to 0. They do that on arcade games, not for the same reason, but like stuff like Cruising USA and stuff like that. They have a minimum volume setting, so you can actually set it where it won't go any lower than 5.
It's our time to shine. As we do here on game night, we get to compete against the rest of this ESPN radio lineup.
It's got plenty of volume.
This is a challenge.
It's ESPN Radio.
Let's pick 'em challenge. Yeah, buddy.
You kind of built. Said I love this way. I don't trust the way you say.
Did we try? I don't think we tried listening to the 650 on low.
Have you ever been possessed or feel like you have been?
That's it there.
Get early access to Macy's Black Friday specials and save big on gifts for everyone on your list.
That sounds pretty decent.
All
right, let me check the batteries and see if they're getting hot. No, the batteries are not getting hot. Could this just be a defective battery? I mean, what's up with that? Or was it just because of the bad caps, you think? Why would it do one battery? Maybe just because it's the first ones for some reason. I don't know. I wanted to talk for a couple minutes about something interesting that I've thought about for a while. I've been trying to figure out how to put this in words. They left the batteries in this radio. So a lot of people, they see that and they go, why in the world do you people don't leave the batteries in your stuff? It's going to eat it all alive, blah, 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 blah. And I think there's a little disconnect between some people and some other people. When I was a kid, I did not think of batteries as a source of power. That may sound ridiculous, but I was born in 78. Whenever we had, the first things I remember taking batteries were toys. You know what? I've got it. I've got one. Let me show you what the first thing was that I ever put batteries in that I can remember. When I was a kid, about 84 or something like that, that was that Christmas that, was the big Christmas, whenever you're a little kid. And my dad worked at a toy store. He was the manager of a toy store. And so he got us all kinds of toys. And Santa got us even more. It was incredible. So we had one of these. Donnie and I thought this was the coolest thing ever. Joey wasn't around yet. But we thought this thing was the coolest thing ever. It would walk and it played a little movie on its chest and stuff. Now, this isn't the actual one, I don't think. I think I got this somewhere else. Well, I'm pretty sure it's not the actual one because I don't remember saving the other one. But So we got this, and, you know, you go out for Christmas, so things are moving all over the room, and then the batteries die. So as a kid, you know, my dad explains to me how batteries work and everything. So in my mind, this is what I think. Oh, well, the batteries run out, and you got to put new ones in it, right? I never thought when you play with your toy, put batteries in it, and then remove the batteries and put them back in a box. And then you can use these batteries to go in this toy. And then whenever you're done with that, put them back in a box. And then you can take them out and put them in this toy. I never thought like that. I always thought this thing's broke unless it has new batteries in it. So you put the batteries in it and then, okay, it's good now. It never crossed my mind to take the batteries out of that one to put it in another toy. And so if one had dead batteries, of course, I knew that you could steal them out of the other one, but I didn't want to do that because then this one wouldn't work either. So that's just how I thought. So I think at some point in time, this divide happened where people that were more electronically inclined knew that these are a source of power. You can recharge them. You can use different ones, blah, 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 blah. But to me, when I was a kid, I thought they were just a part that was missing from the thing. So I left them in all of the toys. I never took any of them out because it was part of the toy. That's how I saw it. So like a radio, back in the day, I didn't have a radio like this, but, you know, this is 1960. That's before me, but I never really had a radio that was battery operated. But if I had one, I would have put batteries in it and left the batteries in it. So I completely understand why people do it. Yeah, it's a bad idea. That's not how you should do it. When you're finished playing with it, you should take your batteries out. And I take the batteries out of them now. But the people that did that back in the day, they weren't idiots. They thought about batteries different. Unfortunately, it's destroyed a lot of equipment over the years, but so I've been thinking about that for a long time because you'll read through comments and people will say, "Oh, some idiot left the batteries." People, take your batteries out. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, I never thought to take batteries out. I wasn't raised to even be concerned of it. Maybe my dad told me to, but I never listened to it. Okay, so I'm going to clean it up, see if I can make it look a little better, and then we'll see what we've got. And I got to show you one more thing before we end here. So I'm going to scrub it down a little bit. Now, people, I'm not going to go crazy on it. I'm not going to go nuts. I know some of you will take this all apart and put it in an electrosonic cleaner. I'm not doing that. I'm going to get it wet and scrub it with a little brush, and that's the best we're going to get. All right, so let me see how nice I can get it. It cleaned right up with a little bit of, I got to get it off channel, with a little bit of Turtle Wax chrome polish. I've had this for like 50 years. Not that long, I'm not that old, but 25 years. So now it's got too much volume. Feast or famine. When the rain comes, they run and hide their heads, right? It sounds so good, if I play it, it's going to give me a copyright strike. So it's getting pretty good reception. Okay, so we got two things left. One, if anybody can find this bezel, I need you to look. I need one real bad. Oh, I need it bad. This thing's missing. There's a little plastic bezel, I think. It's clips in these two holes. And it must have got knocked off at some point. So if anybody's got a parts one or they can find one on eBay or something, this is a Channel Master 6510, but it was made by Sanyo. So there may be a Sanyo that uses the same parts. So if you can find one somewhere that I can buy or something, let me know. Now, the reason I say that is because, you know, thousands of people watch these videos, even though it's amateur repair time. Just imagine how many people would watch it if I knew what I was doing. So there's tons of people out there that see these. Now, just last week, I had a gentleman get in touch with me about that record player that we were working on. It's actually sitting right over there. And I've just determined that I believe the cartridge was bad. And I was looking at it and I was going, this is such a weird cartridge. I'm never going to find this thing. The next day, I had a gentleman email me who is an engineer at several of the radio stations in this great country of ours. And apparently he knows all about record players, and he said, hey, check this out. This is the closest one I could find. And I bought this on eBay. He found the part number for me. And it appears to be the exact freaking cartridge that I need. Can you believe that? So I'm going to swap it in real quick, and we'll see if that actually fixes our stereo problem. But just like the guy helped me with this, if anybody out there can find the little bezel that goes here, that's all it's missing. It's a good sounding radio.
On a pillow up the bottom, in a blanket made of stars, oh, it sounds good to me.
Right? It's got to have this, but look how well it polished up with the chrome polish. Don't you think the bezel, doesn't this one deserve a bezel? So maybe somebody out there can find me a bezel. So I was able to get the new cartridge in there. It snapped right in. It was a little bit bigger than the other one, actually. It looked very similar, but it was a little bit bigger than this one, but it did go in. So let's see what we got. Now, or if you didn't see the other video, the problem was the right speaker worked fine, the left speaker didn't work. So it took me forever to figure out that on AM, they were only using mono, only using the right speaker. But whenever you put it on phono, it should play both. But the left speaker wasn't working on the phono because the cartridge was messed up. Or that's our theory, at least. So let's see what we got. Got some good stuff we're going to play here. I'm going to get a copyright strike bigger than crap on this one. Oh, yeah. There you go. Stereo. How can I prove it? I got to make sure you can tell. It's definitely left and right are working now. I'm going to play you the best part of the song. They're going to cut all this out, but I'm going to play you the best part of the song. This guy used to do this live all the time, but it was just awesome. He passed away a few years ago. General Johnson. But there you go, folks. So if you can find me that bezel, I would appreciate the gentleman that found me the stylus or the cartridge. I appreciate that. It was like $22 or something on eBay. No big deal. How cool is that? So it was the cartridge. This cartridge is bad. Very cool. All right, folks, so there you go. Make sure to leave your comments below. Give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. I didn't have to do that, people. Come on now. I didn't have to do that. And if anybody can find me a bezel, I'll be very happy. So I appreciate it. I will see you on the next video. We'll be back Tuesday. I believe we've got a pinball video this Tuesday. So we'll see you then. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good weekend.
Just a little more time.